What's up, my people? Today we are returning to Absolute Batman to break down issue 6, which is the conclusion of the first arc in the series titled The Zoo. And let me tell you something, it ends in brutal fashion and with a nice tease for what's next. If you haven't been keeping up with the series to this point, we've covered the first 5 issues here on the channel and you can find those episodes right here. So if you want to get brought up to speed first, now's your chance because there'll be nothing but spoilers ahead. Also, if you're digging what we're throwing down here on the channel, do us a solid and hit the like and subscribe button and share this with a fellow Batman fan. It helps us, it helps them, it's a win-win really. But let's dive in, shall we? Absolute Batman issue 6 starts off with a news reporter saying someone identified as Roman Sionis is dropping crates filled with masks and firearms across Gotham City in an effort to encourage people to join his party animal's reign of violence. Everyone watching is urged to stay inside and lock your doors. We then hear Waylon watching this on the news at his gym when he hears a noise and he says, "Oh, you picked the wrong gym, Chief. I am Waylon Croc Jones, former AFC champ, and I've been hungry for a good fight." But the shadowy figure turns out to be a bruised and battered Batman as he says to him, "It's me, Way." And when Waylon realizes it's Bruce, he says, "What happened to you? Did the party animals?" But he stops short when he feels the spikes on Bruce's back and he asks, "What the? Why?" And Bruce looks up at him and says, "Because I'm Batman and I need your help." The issue then takes us to the past as we see Bruce having a sleepover with his friends including Harvey, Edward, Oz, Waylon, and Selina. But as Bruce's mom tells them, "Lights out, everyone," a man with a gun enters the house and shoots Martha as she tries to shield the children. But on the next page we see it was just Bruce having a nightmare as he wakes up screaming no. He then goes downstairs and tries to tell his mom that he had another nightmare and she quickly comforts him, which of course builds on Bruce's past trauma and the reasons why he turned to his life as Batman. Anyway, on the next page we are brought back to the streets of Gotham in the exact moment where issue 5 left off, with Jim Gordon and Martha Wayne watching a bunch of civilians picking up weapons and masks dropped off by the Black Mask. We then see Martha pick up one of the masks and say, "What's with these?" before putting one on and realizing exactly what the masks are for. She quickly realizes that each of the masks are electronic target and reward identifiers, which tells the wearer what their cash reward will be for committing robbery, arson, assault, and murder. It even identifies targets for hits. Martha then says, "My God, Jim, the money he's offering." But while she's still got the mask on, one of the party animals spots them and approaches with a gun saying, "Hey you, stop blocking that crate." Jim then points his gun at him saying, "You stay where you are." But the Gotham citizen, now turned party animal, says, "No, all the masks in the other crate are taken." Jim then turns to Martha and says, "You need to get out of here now." So she looks at him with the mask on and sees that there's a bounty on his head for $1 million. At which point Martha takes off the masks and tells Jim, "You're a target and I'm your deputy mayor. So no, I'm not going anywhere. We need to stop this." From here we're taken to the subway as we see Julia Pennyworth talking to someone on the phone who asks, "How close? Like exactly?" She responds, "Just a few stops." The person on the phone then says, "A few as in 3, 4, what?" And when she goes to respond again, she gets an emergency alert on her phone saying, "Stay-at-home order in effect for Gotham City, effective immediately until further notice." After which, she looks up and sees civilians with guns and masks boarding the train. The person on the phone then quickly asks Julia, "What's happening?" She says, "I'm hanging up and calling the police," but it was too late as we see her snatched by one of the masked party animals in the last panel on the page. So these first few pages do a great job of building the tension as everything Black Mask has been working on begins to unfold and Gotham descends into chaos. We turn the page to find Ozzy piloting a plane with Bruce, who he just found out is Batman, and he's not taking it so good. He screams at Bruce saying, "You're Batman and you didn't think maybe this was something to mention?" Bruce, who's in full Batman mode, says, "I was trying to protect you, Ozzy, all of you." But Oz responds, "Well, it's out of the bag now. Waylon wants to punch you, Harvey wants to arrest you, Eddie says he guessed it weeks ago, the jackass. Who knows what Selina will, actually she'll probably think it's hot. But me, personally, I find it absolutely..." But Bruce interrupts his tirade saying, "There, Eddie's Riddler said Black Mask's entire network was too big to bring down, but that local servers could be crashed." And as a refresher, Eddie's Riddler is referring to the AI robot that he built a few issues ago. Bruce then goes on to say, "There has to be one on that boat. If I can blow it," but Ozzy interrupts saying, "Blow it? Bruce, you do this. you're on your own. I barely have enough fuel to make it back to Gotham. I can't stick around to save you. But Bruce tells him, I'm not asking you to, or anyone else, as he jumps out of the plane and we see him gliding down to the boat. And I gotta say, the splash page here is an incredible homage to The Dark Knight Returns and really should be made into a cover. Anyway, we then see Batman land on the boat, crashing down onto one of Black Mask's henchmen. Then after beating the crap out of this dude, Batman sees a crate full of life jackets. So he pulls several out, straps them around the henchman he just stomped through the boat floor, and throws him into the ocean. Meanwhile, this little weird-looking henchman comes running out with a knife trying to stab Batman, saying, "Kill you." But an unamused Batman just picks him up by his head, ties a life jacket around him, and full-on punts him into the ocean. Then in the distance, we see a woman in a bikini wearing a mask coming out looking for the kid, saying, "Are you out there?" But she instead sees a very ticked-off Batman, at which point she says, "Oh," and then jumps into the ocean herself, with Batman just throwing her a life jacket. From here, we are taken back to the past after Bruce had his nightmare, and we see him and his mom looking at a photo album. She tells him, "This one is from right before you were born, and here's you learning to walk. And this one, man, I love this one." At which point we see that they're looking at a picture of Bruce and all of his friends from that day at the zoo. Bruce tells her, "Mom, you might not know this, but that picture, Dad took it the morning of the class trip. He snapped it at the zoo just before the shooting started." And he's referring to the moment where Thomas Wayne was gunned down right in front of Bruce. Which of course is just all kinds of heartbreaking. But on the next page, we return to the present with Jim and Martha Wayne as they try to hold off all the civilians who want the crate full of guns and masks next to Jim and Martha. Jim says, "Back away for the sake of the whole city." But one of the desperate citizens trying to get to the crate says, "Oh, that's rich. All this happened on your watch, Gordon. We're just trying to get something for ourselves before it all goes to hell." Martha then chimes in and says, "You all saw Batman's feed. All Black Mask wants is Gotham in chaos. He's using us. Maybe so his cronies can profit or get more control. Who knows? But all this is a game to him, and the only way we win is by not playing." But one of the men in the crowd just say, "Yeah, well, maybe that's all that's left these days. Again, most of us never get to play unless we get lucky, and you should have been quicker, folks." Because as the men begin to look through the masks, they see that the death of Martha and Gordon are worth $1 million apiece. And I gotta tell you, I really wish I could say that something like this wasn't possible, but yeah. History. Anyway, from here we are taken to the interior of a plane where we see that Alfred was able to save his daughter Julia and now has her on a private jet. But she tells him, "Do not take off. I have a life, Dad. I have people I care about. I know it's a foreign concept to you, but I need to be with them right now while they're hurting." To which he responds, "I'll bring you back to Gotham in a few weeks when it's safe, Julia. I've seen the aftermath in places where Black Mask does this kind of thing. Right now, I can't risk you being here." But she looks at him and responds, "You know, when I was a little girl, I had a bag packed under my bed, a little blue suitcase I took from Mom's closet. I had my favorite clothes in it, toys, books. I'd wait for you to get home from your adventures, hoping you'd take me with you next time. It was all I wanted. Now, there's no place I want to be less than on a plane with you. And I promise you this, if we take off, I don't have a father anymore." At this point, the captain chimes in saying, "Sir, we have clearance. What do you say?" Alfred pauses and tells him, "I say wheels up, Captain. Get us out of this city once and for all." Essentially sacrificing his relationship with his daughter so that he knows she'll be safe. And I gotta tell you, as a father, I don't think I'd do anything different. Just hope we can work it out later. Meanwhile, back on the boat, we see Batman has found Black Mask and they start fighting with Batman kicking Black Mask into a wall. Black Mask tells Batman, "You still don't get it, do you? You think you can stop them? You think you can stop anything that's coming? Let me tell you a little." But Batman is not interested in hearing a single word that Black Mask has to say and literally spears him right through a wall and onto a bowling alley on the yacht. Batman then picks up a bowling ball and says, "Go on, keep talking," as he starts repeatedly smashing Black Mask in the face with bowling balls. That is until they fall through the floor to a lower level where Batman continues to destroy Black Mask, literally beating him senseless while saying, "Tell me again how I don't matter. I love it. So please, Roman, go on. I said go on." Now, Batman's emotions clearly get the better of him, and it allows Roman to get a rope around Batman's neck, and he starts to choke him with it. And as Bruce is being choked out, we get flashback panels of Bruce sitting with his mom looking at the photo album, where she tells Bruce, "I know this picture is from that day. That's part of why I love it." But Bruce responds, "I don't understand." She then tells him, "Well, when things are rough, believing you can make a difference, being hopeful, It's not easy. But that's what I see when I look at these pictures. Because no matter how hard things got, and they were rough sometimes, your dad stayed hopeful. But he was always at his most hopeful about you. Then with panels of the flashback and the fight being interwoven, we see Black Mask say to Batman, "You know I lied about the pigs. My favorite thing wasn't when they loved it. The best was when they fought, when they struggled right up to the end, when they never believed the bolt would come, when they thought they could win. The scream they made, the shriek, best sound in the world." But what Roman didn't realize is that as he was saying this, Batman's bat ears started rotating forward, and then he screams, "Did it sound anything like this?" And on the next page, we see that Batman rotated them forward so he could headbutt Black Mask right in the eyes with them. This is one of the most brutal things we've seen from Absolute Batman so far. In fact, this is one of the most brutal things we've seen from Batman in a combat situation, period, in a very long time. It's raw savagery, and I gotta admit, I really like it. Anyway, on the next panel, we see Batman is dragging Black Mask by a life jacket he's wrapped around his neck, with Black Mask saying, "You lunatic, you will lose everything you love, I promise you. You have no idea what you've started." But Batman is completely unfazed and just chucks him in the ocean without a care. But in the middle of this, we also see that the homicidal rioters are also getting ready to kill Jim and Martha for the $1 million bounties on their heads. But before they get the chance, Batman walks into the server room on the boat with a belt full of grenades, pulling the pins and destroying the servers. From here, we're returned to the past one last time as Martha tells Bruce, "I will die one day, Bruce, and you will too, but not for a long time. It's okay though, I can take this one out if you want." But Bruce looks at the picture and says, "No, leave it." From here, we return to the present where we see the bounties on Martha and Jim's head go to 0, saying, "Murder target unknown, system failure." So Batman's plan to destroy the servers and stop the chaos in Gotham worked. However, the explosion caused the boat to sink to the bottom of the ocean. And as it does, we see captions from the past with his mom saying, "Bruce, before you go to sleep, I want you to know I'm proud of you. What you went through, you'd have every right to say hell with it all. Live angry and afraid. But that's not who you are. The way you go back out there with your friends, what you said to Jim at the funeral. Because the other thing you can do when bad things happen is use the pain to be even more determined, more hopeful. You wear the pain like a cape, and you work every day to stop those bad things from ever happening again. That's how you win against the nightmares, how you win against all of it. Always." And as we read those words from Martha, we see Alfred arrive in Batman's Batmobile dump truck to save Batman in the water. We actually got a demonstration a few issues back on how this monster Batmobile operates in the water, and it's a pretty freaking great idea. Alfred then finds and rescues Batman from the water, and after pulling him inside the Batmobile, he tells him, "Kid, if I'm sticking around, so are you. Let's get you patched up." And that, my friends, finally gives us the full Batman-Alfred team-up in this Absolute universe, and the setup to get to this point has been so good. But that is not where this issue ends, because in the epilogue, the return of this world's Joker finally arrives. We've only seen the Joker one other time, and it was on the very last page of the first issue of Absolute Batman. And in those panels, he's described as an eccentric billionaire who never laughs. Anyway, back in the epilogue of issue 6, we see a man walk up to Joker and say, "Sir, Sionis is reporting. It seems there's been a small snag in Gotham City." Absolute Joker then tells him, "I'm aware. It's time. Get Bane." And this is where things take an even creepier turn, because we then see some sort of fetus bursting out of his chest like it's aliens, with veins and skin normal. It's disgusting. I have no idea what's going on here or where this is going, but Scott Snyder, I trust you. But the bigger picture here is that it seems like everyone has been working for the Joker this entire time, including the Black Mask. And with Absolute Joker telling his assistant to get Bane, things are going to get very interesting as we move into issue 7 and the next story arc. It also needs to be pointed out that the way that Snyder is building up the Joker in this universe, instead of just giving it to us right out of the gate, is a real stroke of genius. The anticipation build for who the Joker is and what his intentions are is just really well done. Not to mention, it's also been announced and teased that we are going to be getting our first look at Absolute Mr. Freeze in issue 7 of this series, and he looks like he's straight out of a horror movie as well. So needless to say, we'll be right back here next month to break that down when it drops. But that wraps things up for today, so let us know down in the comments what you thought about this first story arc for Absolute Batman and where you think things are going with Absolute Joker. Other than that, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.